Data leaders, Linux and Python learners, and my dear friends, welcome to Inside Builder channel. Mastering SpaceVim Editor, a step-by-step guide to creating your perfect Vim environment, featuring Docker. There are many environments in which you can practice Vim Editor. Why did I choose Docker? For this explanation, if you are new to this particular series of videos that I have made, take a look at this playlist where I explain the steps. So if you look at the exploring top challenges that Linux solves, this particular playlist actually has the video that shows 7 different ways to get hold of a Linux environment without breaking the bank. And out of that 7 environments, Docker environment is one one of the environment which is very helpful for practicing in your local laptop itself or local server itself, like your device that you see here. Any type of device that you have, you can use Docker inside that. Whether it is Windows or Linux, you can use Docker inside that. In case of Windows, you need to have Windows 10 or above for Docker to work. So ensure that your Windows is up to date. In this case, we can use the Vim editor in EC2 or any of the cloud instances. We can use in Windows Subsystem Linux or in Raspberry Pi. All this environment may or may not be available with you. So that is why I am not using those environment. But Docker environment can be made available and it can be constant across you and across the systems, because Docker environment is created from the Docker image. So I will explain in the next slide, where we see that Docker environment is kind of a container. So each of the container are inside your home. Okay, assume that operating system that you see in the blue color here, that is your home. Okay, inside your home you have lots of containers. Okay, inside each of the container, you in one container you have Vim editor, in another container you have Nginx server, in another container you have Fast API server and SSH Docker. Like this you have. None of these container can talk with each other without properly using network. Okay, these are all properly separated containers, and all these containers can speak with the host OS and host CPU and host HDD, but all are separate. Okay, so whatever I do in Vim editor will not affect the Nginx server. Whatever I do in Vim editor will not affect the host also. So this is properly segregated, and the Vim editor that I am creating can be properly controlled. So I will tell you what is meant by controlled. When I say controlled, the image, the particular operating system or the software that is running inside the Vim editor container is pulled from the Docker hub. I will, if you have not come across this Docker concept before, take a look at my earlier videos where I explain how to pull Docker Ubuntu image and use it for doing SSH. So the earlier video is about SSH. Take a look at that. You will understand what is going on there. That particular same way, we are going to use the Ubuntu minimal image only in this also, and we will take step by step process to install Vim and then install SpaceVim. So we will do all this activity in rest of the video, rest of the this particular presentation. Also, the one of the other reasons are also that Vim has to be, we need to work carefully with the configuration file of Vim. So initially, if you make any errors in the Vim configuration file, then there is a possibility that Vim can get corrupted. The SpaceVim version of Vim has improved this. So they have given a lot of configuration file already fixed inside the SpaceVim. So you don't need to worry about corruption also. But still, for making the practice more easy, more possible, I am creating this particular environment. I am using this particular environment. Let us go to the next step. So what are the steps involved? To start, you need to have the Docker, you need to have the Docker version. So ensure that you have added the Docker group, you have got sufficient permission for the Docker application. Use this yellow color commands that I have given below, and then you need to pull the image. So the first four steps, first 3 steps, the Docker pull, Docker run, and Docker inspect is same as what we did in the SSH host, the earlier video. So take a look at the earlier video in this playlist, you will understand that. After that, the process that we are going to follow is different. We have to install Vim, we have to install also additional tools before we install Vim, like curl, git, etc. I will show you how to do that. And then we will start installing SpaceVim. I will give you a full understanding of that. There will be two ways to do this. So you will do it manually first. I will show you how to do it manually, and there is a way to get the SpaceVim Docker image itself. Both of these options we will take a look right now. So the practice time starts. If you see, all my videos are geared towards your practice, so the environment is very very important when it comes to practice. So it also, the most important thing is, if I show you how to set up your own environment, then it is way more easier for you to replicate it, right? If I give you a practice environment from my side, and if it is not available with you, then it will be difficult for you. You have to connect to internet, or work with some other. You have to come to a place where you have to connect with the practice environment. In this case, you don't need to go anywhere. All you need to do is have a Docker environment in your laptop, Docker application, then you can use it. Use this video to practice. That is the intention of using Docker also. And again, practice is the main philosophy. So I hope that you like this video. Do leave a like, so that I will know that okay, my content is helping others, and share it with others. Subscribe to my channel, so that in the future, once I upload new videos, you will start getting the update on your YouTube dashboard. So I have plans for updating grep, tmux, awk, and sed tools in near future. After that, work on bash scripting, and then go to big data server installation. So all this are in the pipeline for this playlist. This is just for your information, so that you will be ready for the rest of the video. Now, let us start the installation process. So, we are going to install SpaceVim. So, let us first understand what is SpaceVim. So, go to your Google search and type SpaceVim, and you will get the first link as SpaceVim Home, and click on Quick Start Guide. That Quick Start Guide will let you know. So, it will actually tell you how to install in Linux as well as on Windows. Our concentration is going to be on Linux. However, you can install on Windows also. I however suggest that don't do that. Okay. We are going to use this curl command in Ubuntu Docker image, Docker container, sorry, and we are going to install SpaceVim. Okay. But before that, we need to have some additional tools. So as you see here, it is told preferably Python 3, Git, and curl should be installed in the operating system. Before that, NeoVim also needs to be installed. Either Vim or NeoVim needs to be installed. So let us see how to install NeoVim. So if you click that particular link, it will show you how to install NeoVim. So there are many types of Linux versions, but we are going to use Ubuntu. So in Ubuntu, you can see sudo apt install NeoVim is the command that you need to use. If you are using Arch Linux like me, you can use sudo pacman. After you understood this, let us go back to the next step. The next step is where we are going to the terminal, and we are going to work on the Docker Ubuntu image. Just understand the commands here. The Docker is the application, and here you see Docker commands will be at the top of the terminal. Host will be at the bottom. Host is my laptop. Okay, Docker is the Docker instance. I am using Docker run it hyphen name. Name is the tutorial. So I'm giving the name for the Docker container. Yeah, I told you the container, right? I'm giving it as Vim installer. We will be deleting this installer in a couple of minutes. So keep track of this name. Okay, there will be multiple Docker containers I created, destroy. So keep little track of it because it's required. So once you understand this, then it will be easier for you. Okay, so I'm zooming in so that you can see the names better. And here you see the installer name. The Docker container will start in a second, and I'm moving the host a bit down so that we can see better. The Docker container has started, and then we can check it out. If you want to see whether the Docker container has started properly, we use Docker ps-a, and we see that the Docker container vim underscore installer has started. So you see the names, right? The Vim installer started here. That's good, right? Now, what we want actually is to install the uh, new space. But none of these commands are already there. There is no vim, there is no git, there is no curl. So you have to install all these things in the Ubuntu Docker image, Docker container. So all the software you need to install. So you have to use this series of commands I am going to give now. So start from apt update and app upgrade. So you have to use this command with -y. So it will install everything. So it's already installed in my laptop. So I'm not doing this. I'm just showing it to you here. And then after those two commands, I need to install curl, git, Python, and NeoVim. All these four tools you have to install. Here I'm not showing Python, but keep in mind. So you have to install Python also. Okay. After you do this, after all this gets installed, then you will have to install the space by using the curl command. So I will copy paste it right now. So I'll go back to the SpaceVim website and I will copy the command. So if I go back, I already installed all these tools. So I will go back and copy curl. This is the command you need to copy. So I'm going to curl into the spacevim.org website, get the install.sh script. It's a bash script, and I'm going to run this command. Once you run it, I'm not going to run it here, but once you run it, Space will get installed. SpaceVim will get installed. However, we are not going to, that entire process you saw it is for if you are going to use a new Linux environment in your hard disk, that is in your server directly. Here you are seeing it in Docker. Okay, this Docker anyway will container I will destroy it in couple of minutes. But if you are going to do it in your original host itself, then you need to follow all the steps to get spaceware. Okay, but we are going to use a different method right now. Okay, let us go to the next step. What we are going to do is there is an option where you can actually get the SpaceVim Docker image itself. Okay, I'm going to remove the Vim installer right now. I told you, right? I'm going to delete Vim installer. So in the Docker is area, I'm going to first of all I will pull SpaceVim from SpaceVim repo. This is the. I will also explain how I got to know about this in a couple of minutes. Let us complete this particular command. Once I give Docker pull spacevim latest, you will see that it will pull the uh, spacevim image. So the Docker image is already up to date, and I can check the image available in my host environment by using Docker image ls and using the grep command. And once I do that, I can see that SpaceVim is already there in my local drive. Then what I'm going to do is I will show you how I actually got this knowledge. So if you go scroll down in SpaceVim website, they say Docker pull SpaceVim slash SpaceVim. Okay, and if you go to Docker Hub, you can see that this is actually maintained by SpaceVim. This image is maintained by SpaceVim, and you can use Docker pull SpaceVim slash SpaceVim, yeah, this particular command to pull the image. So all these things are available. So it's not something. And after that, we can use this command Docker run it. You will see that in the next couple of minutes. I've already pulled it. Now what I'm going to do is first and foremost, I have to start by running the command docker run it. I am going to use a switch called as rm. So what this will do is it will only show you and then it will delete the container. It will not have any kind of reference. Okay, you will see that it will not create any new containers. So it will go into SpaceVim. It will take a moment. You are in the Docker zone, okay, at the top of the command. So you see, this is a SpaceVim how it looks. It looks all colorful, right? And you can edit it. You can enter into edit mode by clicking on escape, press escape, and then press colon and E, and you can actually enter into edit mode. Okay, so you see that colon E, and if you click and if you give the name trial.txt, you will enter. But there will be some errors that is coming. So you see that your click failed to load. So I need to update the NeoVim plugins. So for doing that, I need to start the Docker in a different way. So I'm going to quit it. So in order to quit, what you need to do is you have to say you have to actually say WQ. Okay, you have to write it and then quit it, or else you have to say colon Q uh, exclamation mark. That is how you have to quit. So now you see that I told it is not creating any new container. This is an old container. Correct. Vim installer was the old container, Ubuntu container. But SpaceVim did not create any new container. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the old container because I don't need that. I'm going to use SpaceVim container, SpaceVim Docker image only. I'm not going to use Ubuntu. You see how easy it is to move between images. That is the benefit of using Docker. Also. Now I'm creating the new container itself using SpaceVim image. This is a new container. Okay, and the container name is Vim Tutor. So the Vim installer is no more. After this, we can start working on configuring this Vim Tutor container and learn a lot. So here I am again. I'm going to open trial.txt. So if I open trial.txt.txt, you will see that this file will be available. So again, I will get the error. Now I am going to use escape WQ and I will come out. So it will exit out of the Docker environment. And if I do a PSA, you see that it has exited. So if you want to re-enter into the container, first of all, you need to start the container again. So you need to start Docker start container and it will start the container. And then you need to exec. This time you instead of run, you have to use exec. Exec is execute. Hyphen IT Vim tutor. So you are not going to give space Vim here. You are just going to give the container name. And you are going to enter in the bash environment, not the Vim environment. Okay, directly. So you will see why. So you see this trial.txt that we created in the earlier step. So it is already available. Now what we are going to do is we are going to go into Vim again. This time in a different way. So I am manually typing Vim and going into the command. Now I am going to try and edit it. I will get the error. Okay, so I'm going to edit it. In order to enter into edit mode, I need to press I. So once I press I will get this error. So I need to again press escape, press colon and capital U. I need to quit. After that, I need to quit WQ. I need to quit out. Now the Docker container is updated. Now if I come here and I press I will start inserting and I can edit everything. I can make this file proper. And then once I have typed whatever I am typing here, and then I say escape, I will press escape. Yeah, pressing escape, then colon, then W and Q. So W is for write, Q is for quit. Now I will see that the file is proper. Whatever I have written is there. So now we have already understood the major part, how to actually enter into Docker, how to create a new file, how to work with SpaceVim environment, and how to save the SpaceVim environment. All these things you have seen, and this container will be running, so it will not stop. Like the earlier container, once we came out, it exited, right? But this container will continue running. And if you want to re-enter, you can actually use exec IT, and you can again re-enter. And this time you will see that I'll be using Vim Tutor and I will be editing the file trial.txt directly .txt from here itself. So if I give this particular command, then I can directly go into the Vim editor itself. I don't need to go to bash environment. So this is something that I wanted to show you. Okay, so all these things are fine. So what next? The most important point I wanted to highlight is that we have to learn a little more about Docker environment also, right? So I also promised you that this is not only about Vim. So we are going to learn a little more about Docker environment. So what we are going to do, we are going to again enter into Bash inside the Vim tutor. So you'll see that I have one more file, readme.txt. Okay, and I'm using ls command, and you see there is lots of hidden files inside the Docker container. If I use ls-a, these are all the configuration files like .spacevim, .d, .local, .vim. All these are so you see this. This is the configuration file for Bash, the shell scripting environment. Okay, I'm just showing it to you for your reference. Okay, all these files are by default available. You are not creating it. Now we are going to go into .spacevim folder where you will see that various details of the Vim, the regular SpaceVim configuration is available. Okay, like for example, Vim RC file will have all the Vim configuration. So I'm just showing you these files, configuration files availability. Here, whatever you do, there is no any problem. Okay, These files I am showing it you just for your reference. You can also search it in that place. Okay. What we are going to do now is we are going to work with some of the configuration files inside spacevim.d folder that is called as init.toml. So in this file, we are going to make some additional changes. Okay, you'll be seeing how we are going to change it. So from why we are going to change it, all we are going to see. Inside the init.toml, you can actually change the color scheme. You can do a lot of things. If you come to SpaceVim, now we are in the SpaceVim website, you can actually do a lot of things, lot of changes you can make. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to change the autocomplete of this particular installation. Autocomplete is required whenever you are working on any of your Python or any of your programming activities. So this autocomplete is done by using layers. So there is a concept of layers in SpaceVim. So you don't need to worry too much about this. I'm just explaining to you all these things. Okay, all you need to do is very simple modification. I'm just showing you what is available around. Okay, so you don't need to worry. So you can do a lot of changes here, like adding Git, adding Python, adding autocomplete. So all these things will be very simple. Okay, I'm just showing you to you these configuration files. You can play with this. If you fail anything, just click the Docker container and restart the Docker container as a new container. So nothing is going to go wrong, right? That is the main intention of giving a Docker container, SpaceVim Docker container. And so here you see that how the autocomplete layer is created. So in a couple of minutes I will show you how to change. So there is a very small change you need to make, like only the smart you need to change. You see under the default configuration only the smart you need to change. So we will do that right now using the VIM editor itself. So you see in the host I already have my own configuration file. I will show it to you how it is, and I have to change the cycle to smart. So that is what I'm showing right now. And how are we going to do that? I'm going to use nvim. You can use vim, nvim, whatever you call. It will open the space vim one. So it is fixed like that. So you don't need to worry what command to give. So any of the commands is fine. So now I will come down here, and in order to come down, I will be using J. Okay. In order to move left or right, for left I will use L. For left I will use K, and sorry. For left I will be using L, and for right I will be using K. And then I will change it to smart. For changing it to smart, it will be initially difficult for you guys. Okay. So how are you going to do that? Again, the most important point is that to practice Vim, you have to use the shortcut keys J, K, L, H, J, K, and G. So these are the four shortcut keys. I will explain to you in the later video in more detail. As of now, just try to use the insert command and change it. Okay. So even if you don't do these things, it's okay. So you don't need to worry about this. This is something that I'm showing it to you. If you are unable to do this, it is still okay. So don't worry that okay, this is going to create a problem for me. If you are unable to complete these tasks, it's fine. You can actually get the. So here I'm trying to install Git in the SpaceVim as a layer. So you will see that once I install Git, so in order to install Git, I need to go to I need to add the configuration data. So how I am going to add is that see you see that name equal to git and git plugin equal to fugitive. So I have to just add it under the layers. So if you go to this is in my host, I'm showing it as an example for you guys. This is already there in my laptop. I'm showing it as an example. So if I go to nvim or vim, whichever it is easy for you guys, init toml, and inside your Docker environment, I have to add. So I will add the name as git, and then I will add the git plugin. So I will say git plugin equal to fugitive, fugitive. So it's fugitive, but yeah, fugitive here. Then once we install it, we say wq and come out of the init toml. Then you move back to your home directory. The home directory is the tilde is the home directory. The tilde you see before the so you see this is opening now. How to know whether our plugins have got installed? Okay, I will show it to you right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to exit the configuration file. I'm going to reduce the host such a way that it is easy for you guys to do. So if I press space, okay, it is empty right now. If I press space, what will happen is a box will open. You see this? And inside this, you see lots of commands, lots of options. So you have to press G. Now, if you press G, it will open the options available for Git. So you see all this Git command, committing, staging, all these activities you can do right from the Vim itself. You don't need to go out. So space and then G, and that is how it works. It's all these are shortcut keys. That is, lots of shortcut keys are there. We will separately look into that in one more video about Vim. Okay, you can do a lot of things here with the files also. And also the next step, we can actually go into SpaceVim and open the configuration also. The same init.toml, right? We can open it by using the command space v and then d. So you see the same configuration file that we updated right now. You can open it through this way also. There are multiple ways to do the same thing. So that is one of the points that I wanted to share. So this is more about how to install the configuration. You don't need to even do these things. I'm just showing what is capable in SpaceVim. Next is going to be more important. Okay, the point what I'm trying to make here, that this particular Vim tutor we created, but this Vim tutor does not directly have any connection with your local host, the host environment. I will show you how. Okay, now I will be showing that these are all various files. So I'm using Python file, I'm using a JavaScript file. If you open these files, right, you will see that SpaceVim will be immediately identifying that it is JavaScript by using the extension. So that is capable, and I can use colon E. The colon is missing here, but the colon is there. You can see script.py is identified as Python. So the all this is possible in Vim, SpaceVim directly. So you don't need to install any additional plugins. It will work by default. Okay. Now what I want to do is I have in my folder I have a file called output file.txt. So I want to open that inside Docker. For that, I need to copy this. So I need to use docker cp output file.txt. So this output file is in the same folder as git folder. I am moving it to vim tutor home space vim. I'm moving it there. So you see the copy is successful. This is how you copy the file. And now I am going to go back into vim tutor. You will see that I have this file here. You see how is the copying happening. And now if I use output file, you will see that I am able to see the output file and I can edit it also. But this output file is a copy of the output file that is I am having in my local environment. What if I want to connect my local environment itself directly to Docker? That is done using this method. So let me actually explain the way of connecting the volume, the local directory to Docker environment. So I'm going to take a folder called as logs. There is a logs folder in my local environment which has contains various logs like dbt log, and also I have some Airbnb dataset available. Okay, I'm going to use. I'm just showing you. So by using cat command, I'm showing what is there inside the logs file. It's just a basic log file. You don't need to worry about the content. What I'm going to do now, the same Docker container, I'm going to create it in a different way. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to list the Docker containers Vim tutor. Okay. So first, next, I'm going to stop this Vim tutor because I'm going to delete this container. I'm going to destroy this container. Okay, I'm going to stop it. So you see, Vim installer container, I destroyed it. I That was Ubuntu base OS. Vim tutor was base VM based OS container. That also I'm destroying right now. Okay, now I'm going to create a new container. So this also I'm destroying. So RM means remove. So container Docker container RM is remove. So now if you see, nothing will be there. All the Docker containers are destroyed. All the Docker instances are also stopped. Now I'm going to newly start. So in this case, what I'm doing is Docker IT V. V is for volume. Okay. I'm going to take this particular location, root location. I need to give the absolute path. I give the absolute path. I'm going to zoom in a bit so that it will be easier for you to view. This is actually important. So I'm going to give the absolute path, and then I am going to link that with my uh, the Docker space. Okay, so let me zoom in a bit. In a moment, I'll be zooming in. The name is persistent tutor for the Docker container that I'm going to create. I'll be using SpaceVim again. The latest tag will be used. Then I will start the activity. Okay, so once I start the activity, once I start the container will start. So I'm zooming in. You see that I'm mapping it. So you see that logs. So this is my local folder, and this is the folder to which I am uh, mapping it. Okay, so that is how it works. Now once I execute this, you'll see it will open nmin. Okay, so in order to close this nerd tree, what you need to do is press space F and T. It will close the nerd tree. Now I am going to check. Okay, the persistent tutor has exited, because once you exit out of the first time, it will exit. You have to start it again. So you remember this point, right? You have to start it again. So I will use Docker start persistent. You have to practice it a couple of times. After that, it will become very easy for you guys. So at this moment, if you feel it is very confusing, don't worry about that. It will take a bit of a practice with your own laptop and doing it back and forth. So now I am inside the persistent tutor container, and you will see that I am going into root folder. So cd slash command, if I use, I will be in the root folder, and you see there is a MySpace. This is the folder that I created, that you will see that. See, this dbt log that was there in my local host is there directly inside the Docker also. So it is linked right now. But the link is only one way. Okay, whatever is there inside the Docker, whatever modification you do inside the Docker, you cannot push it to outside. So this is actually one way. You'll see that in a moment. So for an example, if I touch in the host, if I touch, create a new file by touching test.file in this place, and if I go into Docker, you will see that Docker also has the same file. Okay, from the host you can push it like this, but when you are trying to change anything in Docker that is belongs to host, it will not work. It will say read only. You see this? So then how to do it? You have to use the cp command. I will explain to you how to do that in the next step. So all these things, using Docker, we are not only learning to use Vim, SpaceVim. We are learning to use Docker also. We are trying to learn Docker processes. At the same time, we are trying to learn SpaceVim also. So both of things actually are going hand in hand. I hope that this is little. It sounds little complicated, but as you start practicing, it will become way more easier. Okay. So what I'm doing right now, I'm creating a new file inside the Docker environment, a Docker container. Okay. I'm going to create a new file name. So this deoplead failed error is coming. Don't worry about that. It will not actually affect anything. So this is a Docker file. I'm saving it. So just a minute. So I'm coming out because it is saying permission denied. Because anything that is linked with Docker, anything that is linked with the host, it will not allow. Okay, I need to go into SpaceVim, into the SpaceVim folder. That is home SpaceVim. There only I can create Docker file, any of the file that I want, or else none of the other location SpaceVim will allow me to create inside the Docker container. Okay, this is because of the file permission. Don't worry about if you are not able to understand these things. Just follow what is shown. So as you follow it, you will understand, okay, why is this not happening. Then you will check. Okay, follow step by step for the first time. And then here I am going to create, this is a test file on Docker persistent. I am going to tell that, and it is saved. So it is already there. In the next step, what I am going to do is, I am going to try to move the file from the Docker container. I will try to move the file. You will see that it will be a challenge. So you see that I already have the Docker underscore file dot text. I am going to move it to the MySpace that I connected. So this will also be not allowed, because this is actually linked with the host location. This will also be not allowed. So then what to do now? The option is that you actually exit out of it. Okay, the option is, I will show you right now. Option is to use cp command. Okay, so what, even if you do su also, it is not possible because SpaceVim. This is the challenge when you are using the Docker. The Docker is Docker images have their own challenges also. So you cannot use create any super user also. It's not possible to create super user inside the SpaceVim Docker image. Only way to now get the file out is by using cp command. So you see that Docker, I use cp, and I actually copy the file. So from persistent tutor container, I'm going to go into the home SpaceVim, and I'm going to copy the docker underscore file dot text to local location, local drive. So I do this docker file dot text, and I give a space, and I press dot. Dot is local directory, current directory. Now it has been copied to Git folder. So it is already copied to Git folder. You see this here. And now if I do cat docker dot text docker file dot text, you will see that the Docker file is available here, the same Docker file. This is a test file on Docker perception. You saw that, right? This is how, you know. So we saw the entire process. We have seen a lot of activity right now. So I'm going to stop the Docker. Always clean up. Whenever you are done with the practice, you need to clean up. Stop the Docker container, remove the Docker container, and then only you should close your laptop. Keep this habit. So you start the process, you start the container, then you stop the container, then you remove the container, so that none of the none of the files will be staying back in your host, in your local environment. In this way, what will happen is, if you are going to come and start your practice again, it will be new. But if you have any of these files already available, right, when you try running the practice again, the file names will create a problem. Okay, so the same file name, if you are going to use persistent tutor for the Docker container, it will create a problem. It will say that the Docker container exists. So you should always remove the Docker containers whenever you are done. Okay, so now that was a very long explanation, but you covered a lot of ground. If you see, we saw a lot of activity starting from, we actually started. We started with Ubuntu Docker image. We understood how to install the various tools, and we understood how to install SpaceVim by using the commands provided by the SpaceVim website, and then we downloaded the SpaceVim image itself. And then we started working with SpaceVim image Docker container. We created a new container. We saw how to open SpaceVim, how to update SpaceVim, configuration files. We saw all these things. And then finally, we saw how to copy the files between the containers. So between the container and your local host environment. The host environment that you have here, the the laptop that you are working. So from your laptop hard disk, how to move the file to container. So you have to use Docker copy. So Docker cp command you have to use. So all these things, even to move from the container to host environment, we saw how to do that. All this activity we had gone through in this video. In 40 minutes, we covered SpaceVim also, and we covered Docker concepts also. So there is a lot to practice in this. In this particular video, try to take the practice step by step. Okay, don't push everything together. Once you have installed, once you learned how to pull SpaceVim and open SpaceVim, update SpaceVim, stop them. It's okay. So practice inside the Docker container for some time. Don't go into copying immediately. Okay. Later you can again try. Once you are comfortable with the Docker environment, SpaceVim container, and all those things, then you can go into copying and moving the files. So like this, you can move step by step. I am introducing it as a single video, but you can actually break the video and pause it in the middle. You can practice, because at the end of the day, this the Docker container is going to be with you. You can anytime delete it and restart the Docker container. It's not going to go anywhere. Once it is pulled into your local environment, you don't even need the internet anymore. So you can work without internet also. These are the benefits that you get when you have Docker as the practice environment. Okay, so I hope that you guys actually like this video, and do subscribe to my channel so that the future videos that I already spoke about in Linux will be updated in this playlist. And once I upload the videos, you will get the immediate update on your YouTube dashboard, so that you will get to know what new videos have come. Do leave a like so that I will know that my content is helpful to others, helpful to you and your people who are liking this. So with that, guys, as usual, I would like to end this video with four words: practice, 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 practice. See you guys. Have a great time.